How's it going, everyone? How we doing out there today? It's going to be a long season for the Dodgers. It's going to be a long, long season for the Dodgers. They get blown out by the Cubs 12-4. We kick off spring training with an absolutely brutal loss, and I think it's time for us to panic. I think we have to be in full panic mode. 4 runs on offense. The pitching allows 12 runs. This is what the billion-dollar offseason consists of, going 0-1 in spring training. Luckily for the Dodgers, there's going to be plenty more games. And luckily for the Dodgers, these games don't count. If you guys are tuning in right now, welcome. I'm going to be trying to do a lot of these streams throughout spring, hopefully throughout the season, following a lot of games. So if you guys would like to chime in, come in here. I want to hear your thoughts, your takeaways from the first game of spring training, the good, the bad, the ugly. We're going to be talking about all of that. We're live on Twitter. We're also live on X. At least I sure hope we are. If you guys are tuning in right now, whatever platform you're on, hit me up in the live chat with whatever your comments, whatever your takeaways are from game one. Not a whole lot really to talk about today. There are a couple that we're going to get to. Maybe there's a takeaway or something that you have that I don't necessarily have in my rundown. So again, if you're tuning in on X, if you're tuning in on YouTube, hit me up in that live chat. I want to hear from you guys. I want to talk about everything that happened in this game and talking about the Dodgers moving forward for the most part. And again, if you guys haven't done so yet, you're obviously probably following me on Twitter or X, but follow me on YouTube as well. Go over there and hit the subscribe button. Going to be doing a lot of these, like I said, throughout the season. Have a lot of other Dodgers content that I'm preparing to post as well throughout the rest of the year. So make sure to do that. It's free. It takes a couple of seconds, and I would really appreciate it. The first thing we're going to talk about today, I want to kick things off with Yoshinobu Yamamoto because he was the starter. He's going to be the game one starter to kick things off next month when the Dodgers go to Tokyo. He was the game one starter today, ended up going 1 2/3 innings. I think he ended up throwing just under 30 pitches. I was a little bit surprised to see Yamamoto go out there for the second inning because I thought he'd be one and done. He goes out there for the second inning. Overall, very impressed. I mean, this is his first outing of spring. You can't really read too much into the stats, whatever they look like. He goes 1 2/3 innings. I believe he allows 3 hits overall. They were all singles. Had a couple of strikeouts, had a couple of swings and misses. And I believe because now we have StatCast data, we're able to follow all that kind of great stuff at Camelback Ranch. He was hitting 97 on the gun a couple of times. So Yamamoto, he came out swinging. He was throwing 97, got a couple of swings and misses. His splitter looked good. I thought his fastball looked good. Again, had 3 singles that he allowed. But this is spring. This is his first outing of the year. Now, obviously, I would have loved to see him come out, have a 1-2-3 inning, have an immaculate inning. That's not going to happen your first outing of the spring. I thought Yoshinobu Yamamoto looked really good. Now, it's going to be interesting to see how the Dodgers choose to build him up the rest of the spring. Like I said, he threw just under 30 pitches today. When looking at the calendar, the first game in Tokyo is, I think, less than a month away. So he has 4 weeks to essentially build that arm up. By the time the first game of the season gets here, I don't think necessarily he's going to be built up to go 90, 100 pitches. I just don't think that's going to happen. If he's built up to go 75 to 80 pitches, I think that's going to be a perfect situation for the Dodgers, especially considering when they go over there to Tokyo, their bullpen is going to be absolutely loaded because they're only going to carry 2 starters. So you're essentially going to have an 11-man bullpen for those games. So you don't need Yamamoto to go 90, 100 pitches in the first game of the year. You probably only need him to go 70, 75. So if I were to guess, his next start, he'll probably be able to get up to maybe 40 pitches. Maybe then in his next start, he's able to get up to 60 or so pitches. And by the time that rolls around, that might be it for him when it comes to the spring starts. He might be fully ready to go for the Tokyo series. So Yamamoto, again, I was very impressed. I liked what I saw. It's good to see him already coming out throwing 97, and it's a really encouraging sign that I think he came out of it feeling well because that's the most important thing. The biggest thing, though, that we got to talk about when it comes to today's game, it was a scary moment. Bobby Miller, if you guys haven't seen the clip, I was thinking about throwing it on here for those who might not have seen it, but it's a rough watch. So if you guys haven't seen it, I'm not going to show it here. You guys can go find it on my Twitter page. He comes in the 3rd inning, and I'm thinking, this is great. Bobby Miller, this is one of the guys I'm really looking forward to seeing this spring because he's a guy that's fighting for that 5th and final spot in the starting rotation. Obviously, 2024 was a horrible season for Bobby Miller. 2023, he was looking like an up-and-coming pitcher that might emerge as a top 20-25 starter in the game. But again, last year was a disaster. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what we get out of Bobby Miller in spring as he competes for that spot. And it was a disaster. I think he made it 10 pitches. He takes a line drive off the head from Michael Busch, 106 miles an hour off the bat. And obviously, he exits the game. That's all we see from Bobby Miller. As of right now, I don't think we have a Bobby Miller update. I'm checking Twitter right now. So if there's a Bobby Miller update that comes in, let me know in the live chat. That way I'm able to see it. I don't have my notifications next to me on my phone. So if there's any Bobby Miller update that we get while I'm talking about this, again, please let me know in the live chat. But clearly, he exits the game. That's it for him on the day. And this just really sucks. Obviously, when you want to see any guy take a line drive off the head, you don't want to see it for your own team. You don't want to see it for the opposing team. Doesn't matter if they're a minor leaguer, if they're a major leaguer, it's something you never want to see. But for Bobby Miller, this spring is so important for him. This spring is so important for Bobby Miller because, like I mentioned, he's fighting for that fifth and final spot in the rotation. He's trying to prove that last year was just a fluke. That's not the pitcher he is. And he makes it 10, 11 pitches before taking that line drive off the head. Now, there was a tweet out there. I think it came from TJ Stats. I don't have it in front of me right now. He essentially grades a lot of pitching data. And although Bobby Miller threw 10 or 11 pitches, I think when I looked at that graphic, there was actually a lot of encouraging things to take away from his small sample size. I guess Bobby Miller stuff, according to, again, whatever metric that this guy uses, his stuff played really well. So I guess that's an encouraging sign for Bobby Miller that of those 11 pitches, his stuff looked great. But I don't know when we're going to see Bobby Miller on the mound again. I mean, it could be a week, it could be 2 weeks, he could be done for spring. When you take a line drive off the head, your guess is as good as mine. I don't know the severity of it. Again, as of right now, I don't have anything in regards to Bobby Miller's health. I'm sure he'll talk to the reporters, and maybe Dave Roberts will talk to the reporters at some point after the game. But there could be a chance that we don't see Bobby Miller from quite some time. And if that's the case, you can pretty much cancel him for being in the starting rotation to begin the season. It's probably going to come down to Tony Gonsolin, Dustin May, or maybe there's another rookie out there that emerges and he puts his name into the discussion. But if Bobby Miller this spring only has one more start, or if this is it for Bobby Miller, it's really tough to imagine in him earning that fifth and final spot. So you hate to see it for the guy because, again, with how rough last season was, I was pulling for him. I really wanted to see him do well and succeed this spring. Fight for that fifth and final spot. Put up a fight with Tony Gonsolin and Dustin May because we all have seen it from Bobby Miller. We've seen his stuff. We've seen how good he's been at the big league level. It wasn't a small sample size in 2023. It was a large sample size in 2023 where he showed he was one of the best young pitchers in the game. So hopefully, again, whenever we get this Bobby Miller update, hopefully he's okay because I'm really pulling for him. And I want to see him this spring. I want to see how he looks in these spring starts. So whenever we get that update, obviously I'll talk about it on here if we get the update while I'm doing this live, but if not, I'm sure I'll tweet about it and all that kind of stuff. But Bobby Miller, you hate to see it. Again, hopefully he's doing okay. The good news is Max Muncy did speak after the game, and he said that Bobby Miller was kind of in joking spirits when they were all checking on him. I forget what the quote was, but he was saying something along the lines of, I shouldn't have hung a curveball right there. So hopefully he's doing okay. Hopefully Bobby Miller is going to be able to bounce back, and hopefully we see him again at some point this spring, whether it's in a week, whether it's in 2 weeks. I know spring's a lot shorter than in previous years, but I really hope we see Bobby Miller at least appear in one more game so we can just see him battle for that fifth and final spot. We're going to be talking about a couple of other things in this game. Again, if you guys are just tuning in right now, if you're tuning in on Twitter, if you're tuning in on YouTube, there is a live chat here. I do have some comments coming in. If you guys have any takeaways, anything you want to hear me discuss or share your opinions on from today's first game of spring training, let me know in the live chat. Later in the episode, I'll be getting to some of those comments and talking about your guys' takeaways, your guys' comments. So whatever your thoughts are, let me know over there in that live chat. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to be talking a little bit more about this brutal loss that the Dodgers had today. Before we get to the rest of today's video, you can help support me and my channel by becoming a subscriber over on my Substack page. For $5 a month, you'll have access to all of my articles. Plus, you'll get some pretty cool perks and benefits as well. One of the favorite perks among my subscribers is access to a Dodgers Twitter group chat that is filled with me and lots of other passionate Dodgers fans. Talk about the latest news and games with me and a lot of other fans who share the same passion for the Dodgers as you do. Everything I do is independent, so if you'd like to help me continue to post on X, YouTube, and Substack, you can become a subscriber for as little as $5 a month. Now, if I would have asked you guys a couple days ago, a couple weeks ago, hell, if I would have asked you even this morning who your prediction is to hit the first home run for the Dodgers this spring, you probably could have thrown out 10, 15, 20 guesses. I guarantee most of you out there would not have guessed it right. Eddie Rosario. Eddie Rosario hits the first home run of the spring for the Dodgers. He was just signed to a minor league contract just a couple days ago. I'm still trying to find optimism in this because Eddie Rosario, there are very few players out there where they could just kill you when it comes to being a baseball fan. Eddie Rosario is one of those players because of what he did to the Dodgers in the 2021 NLDS. I haven't forgiven him. I'm probably never going to forgive him. Now, if he comes out, makes the team, has an all-star caliber season, wins World Series MVP, maybe we'll let bygones be bygones and we'll forgive Eddie Rosario for what he did to the Dodgers in 2021. As of right now, I'm still salty, but I got to hand it to him. He looked damn good today. Like I mentioned, hit the first home run of the spring for the Dodgers. Eddie Rosario is a really, really interesting piece that I'm going to be following this spring because as things currently stand right now, I'm giving it like a 0.5% chance he actually makes the club on opening day. He breaks camp with the Dodgers. I don't think that's going to happen unless there's a couple of injuries to the outfielders. Eddie Rosario is probably going to be starting the season in the minor leagues. But this is a really interesting depth piece for the Dodgers. Now, I know Eddie Rosario was terrible last season. I think, according to certain metrics, he was actually the worst hitter in all of baseball last year. So in 2024, Eddie Rosario clearly didn't have it at the plate. Now, he had a great game today. He could spend the rest of the spring sucking, and we could look back at this one game and think, wow, that's where Eddie Rosario peaked. What were we thinking this guy could be an actual contributor? But he's a veteran piece. He's a proven outfielder. Just a couple of years ago, he was posting some really solid numbers. Now, obviously, we're not going to go back to 2021 when he was winning NLCS MVP. That's too long ago. But take last year out of the equation, he wasn't awful in 2023, 2022. So we've seen the Dodgers do this in years past. They sign these guys off the streets. They put them in the minor leagues. They do well there. They come up with the Dodgers and they do really well as well. So Eddie Rosario could be the next piece. Now, when is that going to be? If it even happens at all, I'm not so certain because, like I mentioned, I don't think he breaks camp with the Dodgers. I don't think he makes the opening day roster. And I really wonder where he is on the pecking order when it comes to outfielders. You would have to imagine James Outman is probably ahead of him when it comes to that. So Eddie Rosario might be getting the spring as outfielder 2, maybe outfielder 3, depending on if the Dodgers send Andy Pages down to the minors. So it could be a while before we see Eddie Rosario break camp or make the big league roster with the Dodgers. But if for some reason there are crazy injuries, the Dodgers do need an outfielder. I think having a depth piece like Eddie Rosario, I think that is massive. And again, he doesn't have to come up with the Dodgers and post a WRC plus of 130. He doesn't have to hit 20, 25 home runs. He doesn't have to do that. If the Dodgers at any point need Eddie Rosario because things just go wrong at the big league level, having a veteran outfielder like that, I think it could be valuable. So I'm not going to put an over-under. I mean, maybe I could. I'm going to put an over-under right now. I'll put the over-under at like 6.5 games that we see Eddie Rosario this year. I wouldn't be shocked if he comes up for a week or two, then maybe gets sent down, then maybe opts to enter free agency and he goes to another team. 6.5 games, that's what I'm going to go with. If you think it's going to be higher or lower, again, let me know in the live chat. If you're watching on Twitter, if you're watching on X, if you're watching on YouTube, we're live right now. I want to hear from you guys. I want to hear what your takeaways are, what your biggest key moments were from game one. A lot of negativity, but there were some positives as well. So I do want to talk about that. So again, if you guys haven't done so yet, head on over to that live chat, whether you're on Twitter, whether you're on X, and let me know your thoughts. Now, this isn't in my live chat right now. I did see this on Twitter, so I'm going to give a shout out right now to Rob C. Rob C, if you're watching, I appreciate it. But Rob C, he replied to my tweet about 5 minutes ago or so saying, Mookie Betts looked solid in the field. That's something I didn't have in my notes, but Mookie Betts, I think Chad, good old Chad, he posted on Twitter about 30, 45 minutes ago, whenever he posted a highlight clip of Mookie Betts' plays today at shortstop. And I think if I remember correctly, I want to say there were 3. I'm going to try to look back now. I do think that there were 3 plays he had Mookie Betts at shortstop, fielded them cleanly, great throws. Now for Mookie Betts, I've been on record, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's tweeting it out, whether it's writing on my Substack saying, I don't like Mookie Betts being the option at shortstop. I'm just not a fan of that. But I went back the other day and I looked up all of Mookie Betts' errors from shortstop last season. I could be wrong. Maybe I missed one, but I think essentially all of his errors, maybe with the exception of one, were because of him missing first base. Mookie Betts last season at shortstop was great when it came to fielding the ball at shortstop. That wasn't the issue. His issue was just making the simple throw over to first base. Fielding the ball is the hard part. All you got to do is throw it over to first. That's the easy part. For some reason, maybe it was just his experience in the outfield, maybe his time playing second base. But last year, Mookie's main issue at shortstop was throwing it over to first base. Again, I went back, I watched all of those errors, and even some of them, they weren't necessarily terrible throws. They were a little high, maybe a little low. Freddie just couldn't scoop it out from the dirt. If Mookie gets a couple of Freddie scoops, he maybe has 4 or 5 errors all season. So Mookie Betts, if he's able to really hone out on these throws over to first base, I think we're going to be golden. I think Mookie is going to be an above average, potentially, I'm not going to say gold glove caliber, but definitely a really good shortstop defensively because, again, fielding wise, he was fine last year. He looked fine today. It just comes down to those throws over to first base. So I believe in Mookie. I do think he's going to get it done. He's been I mean, some of the quotes that have been coming out of camp so far this spring, he's hungry. He's ready. He wants to be the guy. He wants to be the Dodgers starting shortstop. And he knows that last season was kind of a disaster for him over there, but he has had a whole offseason to prepare. He's had plenty of time to really improve being a starting shortstop. So again, I think it was only 3 plays total today. That's just what Chad, posted on his Twitter account. So maybe there was more that he missed. But of those 3 plays, Mookie looked solid. He looked good. I think he's going to be okay. So I'm glad that was brought up because that was something I didn't include because it was so minimal. But I did think that Mookie Betts, he did look solid as shortstop today. Again, I'm going to go to some of your guys' chats right now. If you guys are watching on Twitter or X, or if you're watching live on YouTube right now, hit me up in the live chat. Let me know what your thoughts, your takeaways were from the game today, or what your thoughts and takeaways are from spring so far, or what you're expecting from the Dodgers and what you want to see the next couple of weeks. We have a couple of minutes left, so I'm going to get to a couple of these. So again, if you guys have anything you want to ask me or just share, hit me up in that live chat. We'll get to those right now. It's not all that bad. At least Hope had a couple nice catches, and Rushing and DePaula both walked. Better than nothing, I guess. Yeah, there's not a whole lot of positives, like I mentioned earlier, that we can really take away from today's game. Zaire Hope, if you guys have been following me, on Twitter, Substack over the last year or so, you would know that I am insanely high on Zaire Hope. I wasn't a fan of the Michael Busch trade at the time, and until prospects can prove that they are MLB caliber players, the Dodgers still, in my opinion, did not do well in that trade. But again, with Jackson Ferris, Zaire Hope, hopefully developing into MLB talent, that trade could look a lot better for the Dodgers. But Zaire Hope, this is a guy that I believe he might have turned 20 already, but he might still be 19. He looked fantastic last year with the Quakes in his limited sample size. He tore things up in the Arizona Fall League this past offseason, and he came out today. Now, he didn't do anything at the plate that would necessarily wow you. I don't think he got a hit today, but he had a couple of really nice plays in left field that Teoscar Hernandez is not making. I'll just put it kindly. Some of these outfielders on the Dodgers, Michael Conforto, he might not be making those plays. 2 really nice plays from Zaire Hope in the outfield. That was something I really was interested in seeing this spring. We know what the bat can do, but if he's able to be an above average defender wherever they put him out there in the outfield, obviously Zaire Hope is not going to be knocking at the door of this season for the Dodgers. If he is, that means either one, the Dodgers are in desperate need of an outfielder and things have gone really bad, or Zaire Hope is having one of the best minor league seasons we've ever seen. But Zaire Hope definitely is the name that every Dodgers fan needs to keep an eye on for the future. I wouldn't be shocked if 2026 is when we see him debut if he keeps up at this pace. But again, seeing those plays in the outfield, that was incredible. I got really excited from that. And also, it looks like Dave said Bobby is in the concussion protocol. That's the latest update, at least we got here. The tough part is when I'm filming these live streams, my phone is my camera. So I don't have my phone next to me, which is a weird feeling because that thing is always by my side. So I don't have Twitter notifications at my disposal. Let's see. Yeah, 20 minutes ago, Bobby Miller is in the concussion protocol. Jack Harris said they'll see how he feels the next couple of days, then go from there as far as any timeline to have him start throwing again. You never want to hear concussion protocol, especially when it's not football. I mean, I can't remember the last time an MLB player or a Dodgers player entered the concussion protocol. So hopefully for Bobby Miller, hopefully he's able to be okay because like I was talking about earlier when talking about Bobby Miller, I really hope he's not out long because I want to see what he can do this spring. I want to see what he's able to do when competing for that fifth and final spot in the rotation. If he misses time, if he misses a couple starts, obviously he's not going to have any opportunity to win that fifth and final spot, and he's going to begin the season in AAA. And at that point, who knows when we could see Bobby Miller next? It would probably take an injury to see him again at some point. So for Bobby Miller, I'm guessing he's going to miss at least his next outing, whenever that would have been. But hopefully within the next 2 weeks, he's able to come back and he's hopefully healthy and able to pitch for the Dodgers. Eddie Rosario being the first homer of spring training was not on my bingo card. Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, you could have bet a lot of money. You could have been given some serious Vegas odds when it comes to picking the first home run of the spring for the Dodgers. I don't think Eddie Rosario would have been on anyone's bingo card. Now, maybe there's some sicko out there that would have taken Eddie Rosario at like 1,000 to 1 odds to hit the first home run, then maybe he would have cashed out. But yeah, Eddie Rosario hitting that home run, I still can't believe it. I still can't believe it. But that does, I think we've been going for 20 minutes right now. I think that's going to be a nice little time frame. So again, if you guys tuned in during the live stream, I really do appreciate it. Whether you were watching on Twitter, whether you were watching on YouTube, this was a lot of fun. Like I mentioned at the start, I want to start doing these a lot more. I don't know if I'm going to do one at the end of every spring training game, but definitely moving forward, I want to be doing multiple streams a week. I want to start talking Dodgers live. I want to be interacting with all of you guys. So if you guys haven't done so yet, if you're watching this video on Twitter, you obviously follow me, so I appreciate it. But going over to my YouTube channel, go to youtube.com/Blake H. Harris, just like my Twitter handle. Make sure to subscribe. That way you can see when I go live for future streams. And plus, I'm hosting a lot of great Dodgers content over there as well. You guys can also find me on Instagram and TikTok. I'm at Blake H. Harris over there as well. You guys can also support me by going to my Substack page, blakeharris.substack.com. That's where you can read all of my articles. And like you saw earlier in the ad, one of the benefits for being a subscriber to my Substack, you get added to a Twitter chat with me and lots of other Dodgers fans. We're talking about the Dodgers 24/7. So if you want to join a really great Dodgers community and you want to support me for as little as $5 a month, you guys can go over to my Substack page. You guys can find all of the information over there. So that does it for me today. Stay tuned for future streams. As always, I appreciate you guys for following me along on Twitter. I really do. And I'll see you guys in the next stream.